I was asked to talk about how I came to believe in charitable giving and why our church is part of what I give to. How and why? Those are two very important questions that everyone should ask themselves. I was asked to ponder them for this video. How have I come to believe that charitable giving is important, and why is part of my giving to the church? My faith evolution is probably the place to start. It was a long and windy road with several detours. You know, sometimes God has to punch you in the nose to get your attention so you realize how much He's blessed you. About 8.5 years ago, I was on my way to Christ Hospital early in the morning for open heart bypass surgery. On the way, I saw 3 separate rainbows, and I took that as a sign. When I awoke after the surgery, I had pictures in my head of people I was once close to who had drifted away, some of which weren't under good circumstances. I decided God wanted me to find them, and so I began searching during my recovery. But my history is that I was raised Roman Catholic. My father was of French stock, and his family was staunch Catholic. My mother was Italian, but her parents, when they emigrated to the U.S., felt that the church enriched itself at the expense of the people, and they became no church people, and they tried a couple of Protestant religions and came away with the same opinion. So when my parents got married, their compromise was that we went to church, we gave money, but we firmly disagreed with the concept of tithing. I attended one of the top Catholic high schools in the United States, and our religion classes were taught by theologians who came from Notre Dame. So it wasn't your typical rote religion class. Christ's teachings, the history of Western religions, including the Protestant religions and the Jewish religion, Eastern religions from Islam to Hindu and Buddhism, were all part of that. But the most important thing the theologians taught was the struggle between God's concepts that inspire religion and the rules that humans create within religions. That was a big part of my early education. So off I went to the university to major in chemistry with minors in physics and mathematics. And what I learned was deep scientific knowledge caused me to truly believe there had to be a God. The miracle of how physics and chemistry and biology all fit together is too complex to have happened by happenstance. However, I also felt like I had studied a number of religious wars, and that pushed me away from religions. So I ended up one of these people who believed in the great clockmaker theory, which is essentially that God created the universe, but He's not involved in it day to day. And I kept that view for quite a while. But over time, my work life took me overseas. I had people in 14 cities around the world that reported to me. And so I was put in cultures with many religions. I also saw firsthand how blessed I was to have been born here and to have had a successful career. Those blessings and my international travel taught me what true poverty looks like. And it awoke an appreciation for what God gave me. and a real understanding about how much commonality there is in the teachings of every major religion per the writings of their founders. And many of the religions were changed after the founders preached what was originally there. And every one of those major religions has as a precept that they must help those in need from their heart through generosity. But an experience in another Protestant church pushed me away. One night, the clergy showed up at my door to tell me I wasn't giving enough money. And I walked away from Christian religion for another 5 years as a result of that. Keep in mind, when you get judgmental, the impact that can have on other people not finding their way. But eventually, I did find my way to Milford First, largely because my wife, who was a hospice volunteer, met Pastor Rich there, and that was kind of the how. Now for the why. This congregation embodies two things that I believe God tasks us to do: kindness and community. That is what Christ's two commandments, love God and love each other as yourselves, really plays out. That plus how many times do you get to be announced as the pastor of the church? I got announced that Steve Rogers was going to be the new pastor of the church. I believe that was probably a terrible blow to a lot of people's faith. But it turned out it was a different Steve Rogers, who spells his name with a D, and I became the other Steve Rogers, who doesn't use a D and is therefore Captain America. So, how cool is that? Like everyone else, though, I've had hard times. The heart surgery was not easy. I had a serious scare with bone marrow disease and anemia. My wife died very suddenly, and every time something like that happened, this church embraced me. I've experienced Stephen ministry, congregational ministry, one-on-one counseling with Pastor Bill, the social aspects of the community, opportunities to serve. I'm now on the financial operations team, but I also taught for several years with Jean Burkett, teaching adult classes, and I created some deep friendships. All these things, plus the willingness of this congregation to meet and greet new people when they come into the building, is really how community grows over time. Kindness also comes through in how we care about and pray for each other, as well as those outside our membership. The fact that our mission support for the needy is about twice the average church's amount, even though we are in a very old building that has the maintenance costs and upkeep costs such historical buildings require. Christ was very clear, as was the Holy Spirit, as was God the Father in the Old Testament, that helping others is what matters most, not rules that dictate amounts. Give according to your heart and ability. I began giving out of duty, but now I have come to firmly give to this church and for this congregation from my heart. I also would try to give of both my money and my talents. Both are very important. The bonus is that when I give, I feel really good about it. And I think that's God's gift back to me.